Hi, welcome back to That's Entertainment, the weekly entertainment show where we look at all the interesting news from last week, this week. Kicking off, just like to say, I hope everyone is having a great time down at Cine Europe. I'd like to raise a little beer to this moment because it's late Sunday night my time. I was unable to make it, but I hope everyone down there has a great time this week. In a slight deviation from the normal news about cinema, we're going to be focusing on Netflix today. In this special show, we're looking at the world's most popular streaming service. The usually secretive company has unveiled a great deal of fascinating information recently. In a seeming shift to their previous policy, CEO Ted Sarandos told the Code conference in LA last week that while info about the world's most popular streaming service is still in a big black box mostly, we're trying to be more transparent with talent and with the market. He subsequently unveiled 2 slides showing the platform's most popular shows and films to date and revealed that all of the titles featured had been commissioned by Netflix themselves, with no licensed properties included at all. The streamer's huge investment in their own content is paying off, and good news at a time when it's seeing more and more of its catalog of licensed titles moving to those streaming platforms owned by the producers of that content. The first slide showed the number of subscriber accounts that viewed at least 2 minutes of each title during its first 20 days on the platform. It showed that overall, the biggest films generated more viewers than the biggest shows. For example, each of the top 5 movies had more viewers than the single least popular TV show in the top 10. The second slide showed the platform's most popular shows and films in terms of the actual number of viewing hours for each title during its first 28 days on the platform. Not surprisingly, it showed that the most popular shows generated significantly more viewing hours than films, even if they had fewer viewers in total. Proof once again of the importance to streamers of TV series with multiple episodes. Not one of the top 10 movies generated as many viewing hours as any of the top 10 shows. The number 1 movie, Bird Box, generated 282 million viewing hours, while the 10th most popular show generated almost 100 million more, with 381 million viewing hours in total. Another oddity flagged by this slide, the top 2 movies swapped positions. Extraction was seen by 99 million subscribers and generated over 231 million viewing hours, while Bird Box was seen by 10 million fewer subscribers but generated over 50 million more viewing hours. Wonder if that means that people are watching the film more than once. Both films have similar running times. Extraction is 1 hour and 56 minutes, and Bird Box is 2 hours and 4 minutes. So that can't explain the huge difference in viewing hours. It therefore suggests that Bird Box generated more repeat viewings. That also seems to be the case with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th most viewed films in terms of hours: The Irishman, The Kissing Booth, and Underground. None of these movies were even in the top 10 when measured by the number of viewers, which suggests that their smaller audiences must have watched the films multiple times. That anomaly can be seen with shows. 6 of the top 10 series that generated the most viewing hours don't even appear in the alternative top 10 measured by the viewing numbers, showing once again, even if a series has fewer viewers, it can generate significantly more viewing hours if it resonates with its audience. That fact should be worrying for those smaller streaming services that have succeeded in curating niche audiences for a particular genre. It suggests that Netflix's audience is so huge that it goes beyond the mainstream and also includes fans of specific genres and content types, hence the popularity of such teen titles as 13 Reasons Why, fantasy and sci-fi titles like The Witcher and Stranger Things, and foreign language content such as The Money Heist and Lupin. Mainstream TV should also be worried by Netflix and its rivals. It's very revealing that this year's Emmy Awards were completely dominated by titles from streaming platforms, with Netflix taking home an astonishing 44 trophies, equaling a record that has stood since 1974. And it wasn't just Netflix that did well. HBO Max won 19 awards, Disney Plus won 14, and Apple TV won 10. The importance of foreign content to Netflix was highlighted again this week when Vice President of International Film David Koss was interviewed by Variety, and the article revealed the importance of the UK, where Netflix will have invested $1 billion in content throughout 2021. As Variety pointed out, in the 2 weeks since the interview took place, Netflix has further expanded its footprint in the UK by signing a long-term deal with Longcross Studios in Surrey and acquiring Roald Dahl, a story company. Well, That investment in the UK makes sense because the UK punches way above its weight, considering its population is relatively small in comparison to the US and the rest of the European Union. But I remember when we were doing our research that it's somewhere in the region of 14 to 15% of all global production dollars are made from UK content. In terms of foreign language content, Netflix's investment in non-English titles grew by 150% between 2018 and 2020. And viewing on non-English language content by Netflix, subscribers doubled globally between 2019 and 2020. Key markets for content spend are Spain, Italy, France, Germany, and the Nordics, where the SVOD greenlights 2 or 3 significantly budgeted films every year with a number of lower budget commissions to run alongside them. And Netflix has a hefty dubbing and subtitling business that now extends to 34 countries. A traditional distributor studio might dub in only 9 to 10 countries when they're releasing a film. So that internationalization, that realization of where the content's lying, gives Netflix the ability to make sure that the subbing and dubbing is of premium quality and available for everyone, because essentially they're catering for that global audience. While views of non-English language content are increasing, Coase did reveal that the vast majority of subscribers want to see the streamer's content dubbed rather than opt for subtitles. Well, listening is easier than reading, let's face it. And Deadline further highlighted the popularity of Netflix foreign language content this week with some fascinating numbers about their US audience. Since 2019, non-English language viewing has grown by almost 71%. And over the past 12 months, 97% of US Netflix subscribers have watched at least one non-English title. Viewership of Korean shows or K-dramas jumped by 200% between 2019 and 2021. Well, this is just this interesting thing that's going to be happening now. The whole dominance of Hollywood-led narratives that have been sort of in pole position for the last 50 years are being torn down. And therefore, we're going to have very new and interesting ways that we're going to be looking at the story arcs. We're going to see a lot more interesting folklore being exposed. Was anyone shocked by how scary Asian horror can be when they saw The Ring, the original Japanese horror movie? There's some great stories out there. Never been a better time to be a producer. And, the world is now an incredibly huge content library for players like Netflix that have that global distribution. Those numbers help to account for the phenomenal word-of-mouth success of a new dystopian Korean drama called The Squid Game, which, if you haven't watched, you've got to check it out because it's brilliant. It's really, really well done since its global debut on September the 17th. It's reached number 1 in over 90 countries in just 10 days. It's the first Korean TV show to climb to number 1 in the US, where it stayed for over a week. And according to the Netflix CEO, Ted Sarandos, Squid Game will definitely be our biggest non-English language show in the world, and that's a very good chance it's going to be our biggest show ever. While there are worrying signs that Netflix's most mature market, North America, might be finally plateaued with the loss of over 400,000 subscribers earlier this year, increases in overseas viewer numbers means that the streaming service is still growing overall, even if 4 million new subscribers it added in Q1 this year was below its earlier estimate. In more encouraging news for Netflix, figures just revealed by Simon Murray, principal analyst of the Digital TV Research, suggest that international growth is set to continue. Netflix is predicted to add 53 million new subscribers over the next 5 years, reaching 271 million people by 2026. They also predict that overall, the global SVOD audience will increase by 491 million people to reach 1.64 billion. As audiences around the world become more and more accepting of subtitle or dubbed content, and the number of videos streamed by services and their viewers continue to grow, and the subsequent demand for that content continues, there have never been so many opportunities for content producers from all over the world to find an audience for their shows and films. My only hope is that it isn't just Netflix, that we actually end up with a diverse international content offering of different suppliers out there. Because again, if there's a monopoly, it'll end up becoming an echo chamber, and that'll impact on the content that gets selected and presented to audiences overseas. So I'm really hoping that, Europe can come up with something that can compete on the international standards. The technology is, as with Moore's Law, becoming easier and easier each year to set up a streaming platform and get out there. It's really just the budgeting now, and that's why Netflix has the scale. The European Union produces a ton of content. Where is the European Union's answer to Netflix? That's all for this week. Until next week, talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.